I call to order the June 10th Simpsonville City Council business meeting. Clerk Clark, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember O'Rear.
Here.
Councilmember Rupe.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Roche.
Here.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
Here.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Here.
Mayor Shewmaker.
Here. Please rise as you are able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, Juneteenth Proclamation. Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day or Freedom Day, holds great historical and cultural significance as a commemoration of the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger's arrival in Galveston, Texas, marked a pivotal moment when the announcement of the end of slavery was made 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The city of Simpsonville recognizes the profound importance of Juneteenth and its enduring legacy. It represents a symbol of liberation, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of equality, reflecting the indomitable spirit of African Americans throughout our nation's history. In tribute to the heritage, culture, and contributions of African Americans, the city of Simpsonville proudly declares that Juneteenth shall be observed as an official city holiday. This designation provides an invaluable opportunity for reflection, education, and celebration among our city employees and the community at large. To honor the significance of this day, all city offices will be closed, allowing employees and residents to fully engage in Juneteenth festivities, gatherings, educational programs, and cultural events. These activities promote understanding, unity, and progress as we continue our collective journey towards racial justice and equality. Now, therefore, I, Paul Shewmaker, Mayor of the City of Simpsonville, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom in the City of Simpsonville. We encourage all residents to actively participate in activities that commemorate the emancipation of enslaved individuals, celebrate the achievements and contributions of African Americans, and foster a deeper understanding of our shared history. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Simpsonville to be affixed this 10th day of June in the year of our Lord 2025. Paul Shewmaker, Mayor. Each member of council has received a copy of the minutes from our May 13th, 2025 business meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Councilmember O'Rear.
Under Business C, it says motion carried by Councilmembers O'Rear, Hutchings, and O'Rear. I think that would be O'Rear, Hutchings, and Pinkerton.
Any other corrections? If there are no objections, the minutes will stand approved as amended. Item 6, citizen comments. We have 4 people who have signed up for comments. We'll begin with Matthew Gooch. Moment, Mr. Gooch.
I tell you, it's been a while since I've been in this arena. Last time it was on that side of the dais. The air conditioning was better in the other building than it is in here. It's like an oven in here tonight. So, for the record, let me start my timer too. I want to make sure I get this right.
If you would state your name and address.
Absolutely. So, name Matthew Gooch, 116 Howard Circle, Simpsonville, 29681. About a stone's throw that way. We good to go? All right. So it's been 1.5 years since I've been on council, and I've kept my mouth shut and I've let y'all do your thing, and I'm glad y'all are doing it because it's a tough job. But I learned a few things while I was up there, and one of those things of the 2 I want to talk about tonight was the rule of unintended consequences and simplicity. And I want you to answer a question for me. And that question is, what is your intent? Now, on the May 27th and the June 10th agendas, an item appeared without any supporting documentation called Enactment of Ordinances. Citizens have long complained about the city's lack of transparency, an issue many of you promised to address during your campaigns, and an issue we tried to address when I was on council. This is a simple fix. The memo required to add this item to the agenda should have been posted publicly as it was shared with council. Why wasn't it? I had to file a FOIA request to access this information, which should have been readily available on the agenda. Worse, this isn't a one-time issue. Over the past year and a half, I've reviewed multiple agendas, and multiple agenda items lack supporting documentation, including the one again today. Other items on today's agenda have detailed records. Why not this one? Mr. Mayor, it is your job to set the agenda, and you must ensure it exceeds FOIA transparency requirements. Uploading documents to the city website is easy and cost-free. Transparency builds trust, especially when public confidence in government is really low right now. If council sets a poor precedent, staff will follow. Now, the proposed ordinance invokes that rule of unintended consequences, in my opinion. For example, there's no enforcement mechanism. Is a violation a misdemeanor? Is it a felony or just a reprimand? It creates confusion for staff. Additionally, the ordinance requires the clerk and the clerk only to submit updates. What happens if the clerk is unavailable or the position is vacant? There's no backup plan. You're stuck and you've painted yourself into a corner. This ordinance is unclear and complicates an issue better handled as a personnel policy enforced by the administrator and council, as council is ultimately responsible for everything that happens in the city, and the city clerk answers to council. An existing ordinance already exists to cover this topic. So this doesn't improve my life or the lives of Simpsonville residents in the least. I also want to say that I got about 30 seconds left. We dealt with the big things. In my early tenure of council, we dealt with little things. We sat and talked about stop signs. How thick was the asphalt going to be? When we quit dealing with the small stuff and dealt with the big, it made a huge difference in the city. You've got power and authority. Deal with the big stuff. This is not an unimportant issue, but it's a personnel matter. It's a policy matter. Deal with the big things. And just really quick, Mr. Campbell did a great job responding to my request, and staff was fantastic in dealing with my FOIA requests. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Rod Folk. Mr. Folk.
My name is Rod Folk. I live at 18 Cloverfield Drive in Simpsonville. I want to talk about the development agreement that you're going to discuss. One of the items proponents of strong towns is to have residential and retail units together in the downtown. It lessens traffic, increases the tax base, reduces urban sprawl, and has other advantages. For those reasons, the development agreement for the old City Hall is a great idea, in my opinion. I think it's good. I do have questions about the project. Why does this project warrant a development agreement with the city when other innovative developments have not had development agreements? What's unique about it? Is there an upper limit on the amount the city will spend to make the infrastructure improvements that they are committing to make? Has the city calculated the potential property tax revenue it will receive from this new property and calculated how long it will take for the revenue to pay for the infrastructure improvements? Creating jobs is listed as one advantage of the project. Is the developer committed to creating a certain amount of full-time equivalent jobs? Remember, the city does not directly earn revenue from jobs. The revenue is from property and sales taxes. And will the people renting the apartments be able to earn enough income from the businesses located in the buildings to be able to pay the rent? Or are these very expensive rents that only the people making $90,000 and up can afford to pay? Are there any rental units classified as affordable housing or intended for families with lower than average income for the Simpsonville area? Thank you.
Next is John Freeman.
Good afternoon. Just want to acknowledge my great neighbors over at the Cedars subdivision. I live at 106 Tollgate Court. And then, of course, you board members, appreciate the job you're doing. Just want to revisit the meeting we had a few weeks ago regarding East Curtis Street. I'm hearing rumors that you're going to turn it into a one-way. My question is, if you guys if we don't own that road and SC Dot owns it, then you guys have to speak for us. Because again, since I've been there, I've witnessed 3 accidents. From the last meeting we had, we're competing with First Baptist Church, trying to get out of our own subdivision. There's only one way in and one way out, guys. So we had a church member directing their members in front of our street, trying to get out of traffic because we're competing with them. And then we're having the music over on Thursdays. And, again, people are parking there. We're still having to compete with them. So all we're asking is that you guys consider, if you have to, borrow a stop sign from Poinsettia, because every few feet you're stopping at a stop sign, 4-way. We know a red light may be expensive. We do care about the city's cost, but a couple of signs there, walkways for pedestrians, that will help us out a lot. But again, if we don't own the street, tell us who to talk to at SC Dot, because we got to get something done. Again, the concert series, we appreciate that. But again, we're competing with everybody here because as the city grows, we're just going to continue to compete with everybody because they're parking over at the parking lot. And I don't know if this is going to happen, but as city grows, you may start charging for parking, as your events, get bigger down here in Simpsonville, which again, they're going to park right there at the parking lot. So again, we're looking to you guys to talk with SC Dot for us, since we don't own the road, but we need something done because the city's going to continue to grow, and that's not fair for us to have to come out. We can't take a left coming out. We're having to take a right. Now, if you're going to put stop signs or red lights on down the road, that may slow up traffic a little bit. But I think most of my neighbors would tell you when we make that turn, whether it's right or left, they're bearing down on us as we make the turn. So help us out, guys. We pay our taxes just like everybody else does. We just need some help in that avenue. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Next is Kenneth Whitman.
Yeah, my name is Kenneth Whitman. I live at 305 Tollgate Road in the Cedars. My wife and I, we've lived there since 1998 and 2007, respectively. Our concern is much like John's. The traffic this is a dangerous intersection across the street. I'm trying to figure out. I attended the council meeting last month, and John spoke, and I don't always attend them, but I try and read the minutes every time afterwards. Last year, I don't remember the exact date, the mayor and council approved some people cutting through businesses because the traffic's so bad, and that's good. I think they should do that. They should be fined. Also, last year, the speed limit was reduced in Poinsettia subdivision or maybe earlier this year, from 25 to 20, most all of there. And on South Almond Street in Poinsettia subdivision, there's a mobile radar, one that flashes like that, speed limit sign. This sign is there, been there about maybe 2 or 3 months. And the sign also happens to be diagonally across from the councilman's house, which is about 200 feet away at 202 South Almond Street. South Almond has no amount of traffic like Curtis Street. There's also a permanent sign, radar sign on South Jonesville that's near this councilman's house, about 200 yards. If the planning has no intentions of placing a traffic light or three-way stop or something, could we maybe get some kind of radar, one of those flashing radar signs? Does those when people see them, first thing they do is hit the brakes because they're usually running over the speed limit. And currently, the residents of the Cedars are held hostage to Curtis Street. And then we need to do something about the traffic enforcement and what have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman. Item 7, business. 7A, second reading of AXZ 2025-01, proposed annexation of the property located at 1601 West Georgia Road. Mr. Derby, would you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Thank you. This is a annexation request. Current zoning is RS in Greenville County. The applicant is looking to have this zoned ROI. Their intention is to develop this site as a church. The one thing I wanted to add from the last meeting, Ms. Roche, you asked about the amount of homes that could be built here in the county. Greenville County has a 25,000 square foot lot requirement RS. Given the size, that's approximately 7 lots that could go there. The typical zoning out there is R15 in that area, so if they wanted to rezone that property, they're looking at about 12 lots. That's pretty typical in that area. So again, RS is a placeholder with the county. That is the intersection of Barker and West Georgia Road. One thing I wanted to add, this is our extraterritorial land use map. This is a location right on the border where we have activity area. It's zoned, we perceive this to be zoned residential, so it doesn't align with what they're asking for tonight. So nothing has changed from the first reading in May, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Derby. A motion is in order. Councilmember Hutchings.
Mayor and Council, I make the motion to approve on second reading AXZ-2025-01, proposed annexation of property located at 1601 West Georgia.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Hutchings with a second from Councilmember Roche. Discussion? Councilmember Pinkerton.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just want to make clear, I'm not against annexations, and I certainly understand the process that this went through with the adjoining that property to others, because I looked it up in the law and for my own benefit to understand how that works, and I understand it's doable. Doesn't necessarily mean I agree with it, but we as council take risk when we look at annexations and zonings. We've had zonings or annexations into the city from several years ago that the properties aren't fully developed and are struggling to get developed. So there's a risk there. We zoned the property over on West Georgia Road last year at this time to ID, and the developer there must have ghosted out because that property is now for sale. So we do take a little bit of a risk, and I just wanted to point that out that when we do this. I do have a question, though, Mr. Derby. Have we yet to see a drawing or a sketch or anything to show what this is other than church?
One has not been provided to the city as of yet.
Okay, so they're aware, though, as a developer, that they're going to have to provide curb and gutter and sidewalk and the proper drainage and stormwater requirements and all that.
They will have to meet our standards during submittal, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out, that as of yet, we haven't really seen exactly what's being built there. And I know the council generally has a concern about that. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Council? Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. On the motion to approve on second reading of AXZ-2025-01, proposed annexation of the property located at 1601 West Georgia Road, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Clerk Clark, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember O'Rear.
No.
Councilmember Rupe.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Roche.
Yes.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
No.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Mayor Shewmaker.
Yes. That motion carries by a vote of 5-2. Item 7B, the second reading of TX-2025-01, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance. Mr. Derby, would you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This is section 410 of our zoning ordinance dealing with exempt signage. This has been modified to update our definitions of some of these particular signs with their location, size, and duration. Nothing has changed since the first reading on May 13th, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Derby. Motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve second reading of TX 2025-01, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Williams. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Derby. Item 7C, second reading of Ordinance O-2025-04, fiscal year 2025 to 2026 budget. Administrator Gracely, will you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you all know, we have discussed this budget in committee of the whole. We've had first reading, and nothing has changed since those discussions. I would like to just give a brief summary of some of the highlights of the budget. It does include a 5% cost of living increase for all employees who were hired through March 31st of this year. We did incur, unfortunately, a 12.5% increase from our previous year on our health insurance renewal. They did start out with a 25.4% renewal, so at least we were able to cut that less than half of what they had originally proposed. It does include resurfacing funds from both the Public Works Enterprise Fund and the General Fund, as we've done in years past. It includes an allocation for stormwater. It includes transfer to capital projects for the heavy rescue truck. This is year 3 of that, so we'll have the funds needed when that rescue truck is delivered. As you might recall, the county is paying the other half of that. They will be doing a bond issue for their half of that cost. We did remove the allocation for GreenLink. We did set aside a little over $400,000 for some salary adjustments once we receive our new classification and compensation plan, which we anticipate in August. Most importantly, no borrowing from fund balance in the general fund. This is a balanced general fund budget. We do have surpluses in the Public Works Enterprise Fund budget. It's a very small one of $13,835. We have a surplus in the Hospitality and Accommodations Tax Fund budget of $1,468,874 and a surplus in the Sewer Fund budget of $264,155. And I can answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you, Administrator Gracely. A motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve second reading of Ordinance O-2025-04, FY 2025-2026 budget.
Second.
The motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Pinkerton. No, I can never tell whether it's you or Lou down there. So the second is from Lou Hutchings. Discussion? Councilmember Roche.
I have a question for City Administrator. How long has it been since we've had a millage increase in Simpsonville?
I don't know the exact time there was a millage increase last. I know that in the 8 budgets I've presented to council, there's not been a millage increase in that time.
Make sure that was on record.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
Yeah, I just have a question on, it's section 4. This is probably for the attorney, but I just want to understand it. and I'll read it. It says, authorization, the mayor, city administrator, and city clerk for and on behalf of the city acting jointly or individually are fully empowered to authorize to take such further action as be necessary, reasonably necessary to effect the amendments authorized by this ordinance in accordance with the conditions herein set forth. So I'm assuming that effect it means making sure that it happens. It can't change this. Is that what that?
That's right, Mr. Pinkerton. It's to carry out the intent and effect of the ordinance. It's not to create new policy or new law outside of the ordinance.
That's the way I read it. My next question though is, why is there an order in here between the mayor, city administrator, and the city clerk? Wouldn't that just be the city administrator's job? I mean, where do these other two people come into play in this?
Well, typically, the mayor or the city administrator is authorized by council to carry out certain actions as directed by council. I'm not sure what the city clerk would be needed for in carrying out the intent of the ordinance. I don't have a good example to give you, but it's not unusual to see the mayor or the city administrator listed in terms of being authorized, because they are working together and jointly or individually are authorized to do what's necessary pursuant to the ordinance.
Yeah, I went back and looked, and last year it basically said the same thing, but I just questioned it, and I just wanted to get a little explanation. I would have thought that would have been the administrator's job, and how the mayor or the clerk get involved other than through council.
Well, that's why it's in there. I mean, if it wasn't in there specifically, the mayor would not have authority, and maybe neither the city administrator. So you're giving their blessing for them to do what's necessary to carry out the ordinance.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Councilmember Rupe.
Administrator Gracely, by the way, this first question won't seem like it's on topic, but my second question will make it on topic. The flashing street signs that we did add to Jonesville, does the city pay for that 100% of the cost? Does the county help contribute?
We generally budget for those radar signs each year so that we can buy additional ones for traffic control. We have out in the community all of the signs that we have in our possession. So relative to the budget, it would be that we would be buying some more of those under PD equipment.
Okay. And a constant echo from citizens is particularly East Curtis. Are we able to discuss as a council where we would choose to put those, or who chooses where those go?
So the last time council had a discussion about a location of a sign was when we changed the speed limit on South Main Street years ago. And that was predominantly because the trail is there and we wanted to make sure people were observing the speed limit. That was a council discussion. I think the other ones arise out of citizen complaints about cars driving too fast in their neighborhood. We recently put one on West Georgia Road in the curve, and that was as a result of folks coming to the council meeting several months ago to talk about their concerns leaving that townhome community because of the location and the proximity to the curve. So generally speaking, those happen as a result of public comments and requests, and the police department weighs in on that to see if that's a location where we've had multiple accidents and where we really do need to control speed. The one on Jonesville was mainly because the speed limit drops so dramatically once you hit the city limits, and so people are in the county and then all of a sudden they're in the city and the speed limit drops. And so we wanted to make sure people understood, you're approaching now, this is not a country road anymore. You're approaching several subdivisions and townhome communities and sidewalks where pedestrians are moving about.
Okay. I would particularly like to see some here as well, but I just wanted to make sure it was in this year's budget where I was going with those questions. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Rear.
This is to kind of piggyback a little bit on Councilmember Pinkerton's question, and thanks for figuring that out because I didn't see that. It says for Daniel, Mr. Hughes, I'm sorry. When we make statements like giving someone the authority to do something is normal for the mayor for this or that, are we looking at through the prism of that we're a council form of government, or is that a general forms of government that we're looking through that? Because that would give council, I guess, the ability to slide the mayor, whoever else in there, to enforce this agreement. So when you say it's normal for that to be there, is it normal in all forms of government, or is it normal in the forms of government or that's non-council form of government?
It depends. So there's, as you know, 3 different forms of government, and each form of government by state law mandates certain responsibilities or duties that the mayor or the city manager or the city administrator is obligated, or not obligated to, but tasked to carry out. In addition, you have your own city ordinance, where your own city ordinance gives your city administrator certain duties that they are authorized to carry out. So in this particular case, because there is no ordinance that would say specifically that the mayor or city administrator is authorized to carry out the intent of the budget you just passed, that's why it's important that that language be in the ordinance, so that there's no question later on by this body to question that elected official or that the city administrator's authority to do what you directed them to do. We don't want any confusion later on as to what you've asked them and tasked them to do.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
Councilmember Pinkerton.
I like to appreciate Councilman Roop bringing up this speed radar. I do have one on South Almond Drive, and I think it'd be a great idea. And I've had several citizens come to me and ask if we could get more of these. It's like a silent policeman. Nobody likes speed bumps. Some people like to request them, but I can tell you from visually seeing that when that advertises your speed, people actually slow down when it works. So it is battery operated and solar and some other things, so it's got some limitations, but it's mobile. So if I highly encourage people to reach out to the police department and have it moved wherever you want to put it. It might be a good spot right here. I know I've had people request it on Poinsettia Drive as well. So as far as the budget goes, I would highly encourage that administration look at purchasing some more of these.
Council? There's no further discussion. I'll call the vote. On the motion to approve on second reading of Ordinance O-2025-04, the fiscal year 2025 through 2026 budget, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Item 7D, first reading of Ordinance O-2025-05, Development Agreement for Burdette North Redevelopment. Administrator Gracely, will you summarize, please?
Yes, Mayor. If I could, I'd like to defer to our city attorney, since he's been working most closely with the developer's attorney. And I think you all had some concerns during our last committee of the whole meeting, and I believe he's addressed those. And so I think it would be more appropriate for him to summarize that if you all don't have any objection.
There are no objections. Mr. Hughes?
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight before council was first reading of a development agreement for the North Burdette District. And this is to approve the development of a couple of parcels by the developer Blue Ridge Land Holdings, LLC. And this development agreement sets forth a number of responsibilities by the developer in order to carry out the development, which will be overseen by this council, both through the obligations set forth in the development agreement, as well as the innovative district zoning regulations and other zoning regulations that will apply to this development. This is first reading of this ordinance, and there are a couple of, as I pointed out to council by email earlier this week, there's a couple of missing exhibits that we are still working on, and we are working diligently to provide those two exhibits so that you have a fully developed development agreement before you at second reading. And you also have the ordinance before you, which sets forth the numerous advantages that this development agreement and this development itself will provide to the city. And I'm happy to answer any questions in particular about specific provisions of the development agreement that you have questions about. But we have discussed previously, and I believe all changes that were requested by council have been made.
Okay, thank you, council. Motion is in order. Councilmember Rupe.
Mayor and Council, I make the motion on first reading to approve Ordinance O-2025-05 Development Agreement for Burdette North redevelopment.
A motion from Councilmember Rupe with a second from Councilmember Roche. Discussion. Councilmember Rupe.
Yeah, I just would like to make it public. My main concern with this was the amount of parking versus apartments and businesses. And is that going, really, to me, it's not really, is it going to meet our zoning requirements rather than does it make sense? Is there going to be enough parking? Can you elaborate to, again, just for public knowledge, how many apartments, how many are one bedroom versus two, versus how many parking spots there are, minus how many we might need for the businesses?
Mr. Rupe, I don't have that information returning one or two bedroom apartments. I don't know that. The only thing we know.
Is the developer here by chance?
No.
They're not with us? Okay.
We do know it's 125 units is the plan. And I believe, and maybe Mr. Derby can help, but I think our zoning regulations do require 2 parking spaces per unit.
Mr. Derby, is that correct? So we have 125 units. So that's going to require 250 parking spots. Where are we as far as where we've gotten since the last meeting, as far as how many is on the initial plan at this point, parking spots?
Well, again,
I know we're going back and forth, but my issue is we're asked to pass this to a second reading, which I understand is where we initially will get the vote, but this was my main concern. I don't know if it's been addressed enough for me to feel okay to pass this to the second reading, because I didn't see where my main issue was addressed, and I'm trying to figure out, maybe I missed it, but we don't have a number.
No, but again, this is an innovative district. You're going to have a statement of intent or concept plan that this council is going to, in the future, sign off on. And that concept plan is going to, subject to your approval, map out all of the parking requirements for this development. And so what the development agreement is making clear is that all requirements for parking under our zoning regulations may be met, but there could be other things that you are asking to do as part of their concept plan and statement of intent as part of the innovative district. So this is, you don't have, as part of this development agreement, you're not going to have fully detailed development plans. That's just not going to be part of this. So to the extent that you're looking for that, that's not going to be part of this development agreement. It will be part of the submittals that will come later with detailed development plans.
That wasn't my understanding. I thought I made parking a pretty clear message of mine that this wasn't going to add to the parking problems that we already have, And that's what I was looking for, a big change from 2 weeks ago. And now I'm asked to pass this again in 2 weeks, and I'm hoping that it's there, and I'm not seeing it yet. So I've got, where I didn't have reservations as much before, I think I do now, because I'm not getting enough information to feel comfortable to pass this. And I was under the impression that's what this was for, was going to give us more clear guidelines of what we were actually passing. But I think I'm more confused now than I was 2 weeks ago. But
Councilmember O'Rear.
I kind of echo a little bit what Councilmember Rupe said about this. Parking is a massive concern, but really the overall arching concern for me is being asked to continually make decisions with incomplete information, a la exhibits, parking spaces, units, things like this that we hear, well, we'll work that out in the future, So, what's the next iteration of this before our next business meeting? Because that's our final shot at it. And if that iteration isn't something that the majority of council likes, then the whole thing goes. I just don't like having to vote on things when it's piecemeal to me. And the piecemeal is, here's the information, now vote in committee of whole. Here's another piece of it, now vote in the first reading, and we'll get you the other pieces when they become available. I don't think that gives the city any position of strength in this process at all. So I can't really say yes to this with incomplete information. I mean, when it's a bridge too far, it's too far at that point. We can't backtrack. So, thank you,
Mayor. If I may clarify, or Councilmember Pinkerton can go first, and then I do have some clarifications.
You'd like to go?
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify that we did discuss during second reading of the sales agreement that a development agreement at this point was premature, and that there would be things that are unanswered because they cannot do a site plan until they own the property, until they work through their bank financing, until they hire civil engineers to do that site plan. And so, I think that was clearly spelled out that those things, we could get a development agreement, but it would be a simplified version of one because typically this happens much later in the process once they've done all the site design and they have more information to share with council. I would also like to echo what our city attorney mentioned, that this is not final by any means in terms of what the city will get from the developer. That will happen during the rezoning process, and that's where parking and things like those issues will come into play, and you'll have more specific information on that before you rezone the property. So the property has to be rezoned to be able to meet the intent of this development agreement, and they understand that, that they have a lot of work ahead of them to do. So I don't want anybody to have the misconception that that there will be some things added or clarifications before second reading, because we're not at that stage yet, and the development agreement is premature. And then I would also like to point out that the two exhibits are missing are exhibits from the city. The one that's missing is the streetscape plan for that immediate area. I have asked the civil engineer that works for us to give us a drawing sheet from the construction documents so that could be inserted in here. I've not gotten that yet. And then the other one is for the parking along Hedge Street. And until we have a site plan, it's going to be difficult to draw where the parking would go, or if we can even do that. That's why I had asked for the language to be changed, that we shall endeavor to accomplish a narrowing of Hedge Street to include on-street parking. But we don't know where, with the existing curb cuts right now, there could be no on-street parking on Hedge Street. Obviously, they're going to eliminate a couple of those curb cuts, but I don't know where those are going to be exactly because they're still formulating their site plan. So it's very difficult for us to draft an exhibit that shows how the street would be narrowed and where the parking spaces would be when we just simply don't have enough information at this point to do it. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Councilmember Pinkerton.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor. I was going to follow up.
Okay, if you have a follow-up. Councilmember Rupe.
Sorry. So they've showed us a plan we have a plan and they know where the parking lot's going. I'm confused why they can't say this plan has this many parking spots. And then we go through passing this with the knowledge and understanding, are we close or is this going to cause problems? It's hard to keep moving these through, not saying, well, we'll get to that the next reading. And I'm not for squashing things in committee. I will pass this through, but hopefully with some more answers in 2 weeks. But I came to this meeting thinking I would at least have that answer. It doesn't seem like it's a difficult answer to get, and I'm not sure why there's not, but I'm not for voting this down today. Like I said, I try to vote things through committee, or to the second reading at least. But that's my hiccup. I mean, if they say, man, this only has 260 parking spots, then that's not enough. And, we're going to have to exceed, and what we're doing on Head Street won't touch the amount of issues that we're adding to this area that's already full of traffic. So that was my concern. I appreciate you trying to answer it. I'm just not sure why they can't give us a number yet, but thank you.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
All right. First, as the council person that actually put the sales agreement on hold until we got a development agreement, I will say this is a far cry from what we looked at previously with the non-binding ones, the two that I've seen. So it's even though it doesn't seem to be answering a lot of people's questions, it's a better agreement. I do have a couple of comments. One is pretty simple for Daniel. Our attorney is, again, back on item 25, small d. That word or is still in there, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm not the master of the English language, but that sentence doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You took out part of it, but when we discussed it, that or seems being crazy. So the other part that was just discussed is the attachment F. Now, just putting on the developer's hat for a minute might surprise you. I can understand why that'd be an important document because they have to be able to build to something that's not there, or what's there might be different. So we do need to have some sort of document that says, this is where you meet. Now, I don't know if they're proposing to do the sidewalks or if that's in our streetscape. By ordinance, they provide sidewalks, but I'm assuming it'll be part of our streetscape plan. If we can't tell them where it's going to be, it'll be difficult for them to build to it. You can adjust and you can make a difference in your plans, but I can see where that's an important agreement. However, I know there's been some work behind the scenes, maybe to look at our streetscape plan, to bring it down to some point within the budget. I know it was passed years ago by previous council, and a budget we cannot meet. So it'd be interesting to know where we are on that. And if we're just going to take a snapshot of the surrounding properties, that may be the best thing to do and not guarantee the streetscape project. I don't think we can get rid of that article altogether, but maybe it would make more sense if we say something to the fact that the city may make street improvements in the near future, near and around the development to facilitate and enhancement traffic flow. Because what we're saying now is, I don't know what they've seen really, who knows what their thought is, but it is an important document. I hate that we don't have it now. We'll pass this on, and then what are we going to see this again in the next business meeting in 2 weeks?
That would be 4 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Hopefully that'll come to fruition. So I don't know if you have any answers to my questions, but I'm good.
So one thing I can tell you is that the landscape architect that was working with CoTransco, our civil engineer, has also been meeting with the developer and sharing information with them. So I do believe they know where that curb is going to be. and how wide the sidewalk is going to be, which is the basic information they would need to build to, because in the downtown overlay district, you don't have any setback requirements. So of course they're going to want to maximize as much space as they can. So they will build right to the lot line. Mr. Coker and I did meet last week with the civil engineer for this project, and we have asked that he par it down to the road realignment, because we believe that is council's most important priority. That's certainly what the public expectations are, that we address traffic with this plan. And so we are looking at how that project can be phased so that we can accomplish it. And it's possible, if the earmarks come back and the state gives us the money that they promised us next year, that we would have all the money we need to do the entire project. But we are looking at just trying to address the resurfacing, the restriping to get the one-way streets in and make the traffic realignment happen. And he indicated to us that that's feasible with the money that we have available. So none of the landscape improvements would be made. The decorative street lighting, we're looking at options to lease from Duke Energy versus us buying them up front, because then we have no upfront costs for that. And then South Main Street being its separate phase as well. So we're really trying to get to a project to get the most we can out of that block of Main Street between, Northeast Main, Curtis, and College. And of course, the work that needs to be done on Academy Street as the crossover to maximize the traffic realignment and efforts to improve traffic flow.
So when that drawing comes back, it will be presented to council so that we can make an informed decision on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Roche.
Listening to some of the concerns, I don't share them. I believe that everything we need is in this development agreement. As the city administrator has pointed out, this is a little cart before the horse. No developer is going to invest in site plans and renderings until they know for sure they own the property, and we haven't actually sold the property to them. So they're trying to meet us in the middle here by giving us a development agreement and laying down some ground rules, basically, some plans, things that are set forth of what they intend to do and what the city's responsibilities are as we begin this process. So this is just the first reading, and the language is such. So for instance, somebody mentioned concern with parking. The language chosen is up to 125 apartment units with related amenities for tenants of the apartments. And it says a surface parking lot with parking to accommodate development with vehicular and pedestrian access to and from all improvements. So it's open-ended, it's up to, it's not a guaranteed number of apartments or parking spaces, because we don't know that yet. They have to do the site plan. The important part in there, though, is that the city will guide that. They're not going to just willy-nilly throw something off. We have inspections. We have our planning department's going to be walking them through this. They're not going to get to step C without going through step A and step B. And we have things planned within the zoning, which has also not been approved yet. So if they can't come up with something that fits zoning and all the requirements, parking included, it's not going to go any further. So again, this is going to be a hand-in-hand thing with this developer. We're not just approving this and the developer's going to go out there and throw something up tomorrow. This is just one step. And we've asked for this as council. We put the whole thing on hold and asked them for this development agreement to give us a little confidence and to give them a little confidence at this point that we're in it together. As far as what else was mentioned? Sorry, we redlined this, and I'm looking for all the red lines. We went through this as council already one time, And we had our city attorney update everything. All of us had plenty of time at that meeting to express our concerns and have the city attorney redline it and include all of the proper verbiage to make sure the city's protected. And we know the schedule, we know benchmark dates. There's things in place for the developer in case they fail to comply. I know what it was. It was the city's responsibilities as far as the streetscape goes. Even that is spelled out in here as to what we are supposed to do. City commitments, just for the general public to know. We have to rezone. We have to make the streetscape improvements and other public improvements that are planned as part of our design. We have to do underground utilities, as the city administrator has mentioned, and we're working with Duke Energy to get those done. Street narrowing, that's all part of that process as well. Permitting, they're going to need permits. Obviously, we're not going to just push that through. And then I already mentioned the benchmark dates. So this is a gesture of goodwill on both parts. It spells out what the city's going to do, what the developer is going to do, and this is our first step. And again, this is something council asked for before we agree on the sales agreement. But this is as much as we're going to get, I hope council understands, from a developer, this developer or any other developer. They're not going to invest more money in giving us solid plans and renderings and something set in concrete right now, because we haven't sold them the property. I mean, that's a lose-lose for a developer. So I really hope council will approve this so that we can get moving on this and keep the momentum going. We're looking at completion of 2028 at this point anyway. Again, this isn't something that's going to go up overnight. And we as council are going to guide the process, and our hired planners and our new city administrator are going, and he has so much experience at this. I just want the public to know our new administrator, this is his wheelhouse. So we're going to get a good product in the end, no matter what developer we go with. But this is the one that stuck with us this far, and they've shown goodwill. So I really hope council approves this.
Council? Councilmember Hutchings.
Unfortunately, I missed some of the initial discussion on this developmental plan. And I want to ask a couple of questions, and it may have already been addressed, but if you'll bear with me. In the red line area here under 5 developer commitments and benefits, the statement is in compliance with all requirements set forth in section 4.5 of the Simpsonville zoning ordinance. The approved concept plan, statement of intent, and DOTC 2.12 design overlay - town center district as preliminarily illustrated in the drawing attached hereto as Exhibit D, the project facilities. Where is that drawing?
Mr. Hutchings, it should be, you should have it attached. Yes. Should have been included with your.
He's looking at the red line document.
Agreement. Okay.
It's not in the red line document.
No, it's in the
okay, that's the problem, I guess. My concern has been since this project started was the concept plan has changed 3 times since I've been involved with it. I'd like to see what the developer has in mind for that, and I understand that we may have to go to the zoning process to get that, but I would certainly feel more comfortable if we knew a little bit more about what the concept plan is.
Council? So if Mr. Hughes, if you would find paragraph 5C, it's on page 3, just below the center of the page. About, yes, I don't know, about the middle of the first sentence in there, it says, well, I'll just read the whole first sentence. Subject to the rezoning necessary in order for the developer to develop the project facilities as described in this agreement, including without limitation waiver of setback lines and height restrictions. I want to make sure I understand the legal language here. We're not committing to waive all height and setback limitations. That still has to go through the approval of the Planning Commission. And okay,
That's correct. Yes.
all right. I just want to make sure that there was not some kind of blanket. You can build a 10-story building there if you want. So, okay, thank you. All right, and to follow up on what Councilmember Roche was mentioning, I think some of the difficulty that we are having is we did end up having this development agreement being made a toll gate prior to approving second reading of the sales ordinance. And it is out of order of how these things are typically done. So there's a little bit of trying to push a rope is what we're doing here, what makes it difficult. So I need to say this now because if council decided to vote this down tonight or on second reading in July, there's not a chance to say something after the vote. If we don't approve this development agreement, then we're going to need to remove that hurdle, that toll gate for the second reading of the sales agreement. Or I believe that this developer is going to take legal action to enforce a binding agreement that is already in place. They have bent over backwards to be a good partner for us. They're committing to a $30 million plus project with this. It will be good for the city. It will be good for the city's revenues. And I think we need to pass this on to second reading. Any further discussion? All right, then I'll call for the vote. On the motion to approve on first reading of Ordinance O-2025-05, the development agreement for Burdette North redevelopment, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed signify by saying no.
No.
That motion carries by a vote of 6-1.
And I'm sorry, who was the no?
Councilmember O'Rear. Item 7E, first reading of Ordinance O-2025-06, land lease agreement. Administrator Grace Lee, would you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The land and lease agreement was provided by Greenville County to us back in late March. I sent it to our city attorney for review. He has made the changes in the city's best interest. We've sent that back to the county. And so what you have before you is the land lease agreement, which basically is it's a ground lease agreement for the property on which the summary court and municipal court building is constructed. And essentially what it entails is that the city is providing the land at no charge or, the dollar per year to the county for the building to be on that property. And in turn, the county is allowing office space and courtroom space for our municipal court staff to occupy a portion of that building.
Thank you. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve the first reading of Ordinance O-2025-06, the land lease agreement.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second by Councilmember Williams. Discussion? Councilmember Roche.
City Administrator Grace Lee, it was my understanding that the county actually put money into the project because they would have a courthouse here. Is that correct?
So the county actually paid for all construction costs related to that building. They also paid for some of the site work that went into that building. We prorated the amount of site work that for stormwater, for instance, because having that additional building there created larger stormwater needs. And so they paid their portion of that as well. So yes, the city has no money in the site work on that property or the building itself.
So this was a land lease agreement, and that's why it's so lenient.
Correct.
Thank you.
Council? If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. On the motion to approve on first reading of Ordinance O-2025-06, land lease agreement, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. 7F, first reading of Ordinance O-2025-07, Enactment of Ordinances. Councilmember Pinkerton, would you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you. So to go back, the reason why I put this up to include in the ordinance was based on some conversation and some studying I did within the ordinance. But I did talk with Administrator Gracely about the process a bit, even the clerk at some point, and I was concerned at that time because we had some ordinances that hadn't been sent for codification, and we had some, at least one ordinance that wasn't even codified, and it just brought some concerns to me, and I thought, what is the process? So I was asking about it, and I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to include in the ordinances a time period for when the ordinance would actually go in? So council is confident that this happens. Now, I know it's been mentioned that maybe we didn't need another law to tell somebody what to do their job is, but frankly, that's what the ordinance are. They are the law, every one of them. It tells council what to do, how we're supposed to do things by ordinance, how we're supposed to run our meetings, and it also gives the citizens what the rules are and their businesses to follow those ordinances. So to, again, assert that it's an additional law to tell somebody what to do. This is what we do all the time. We follow these ordinances. I don't know that passing it will have an impact on everyday citizens or whether it's going to have an extreme impact on the future growth to the citizens of Simpsonville. It's merely, to me, an idea of putting something in there that makes sure that our ordinances, as we pass as council, are codified. And that's what I have to say on that. So I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 0-2025-07, enactment of ordinances.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Pinkerton with a second from Councilmember O'Rear. Discussion? Councilmember O'Rear.
I was in favor of this the first time around because we have had some problems with codification that we've run into, and I don't think it's too high of a standard to ask within 10 business days or whatnot to have it submitted, considering we figure out Unicode does it quarterly. We don't know when quarterly they do it, but even if we get it in, they're still going to get to it on a quarterly basis. And it's just one of those things. But I did turn to Mr. Hughes here a second ago, looking through this and looking through the ordinances. We do have something about codification of ordinances, and it says they shall be codified and updated annually. To me, all you have to do is codify and update within 10 business days of the passage of the ordinance. I mean, so I am in favor of this. Thank you.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
I also want to add, too, that, when this came up in the agenda title wasn't anything that I had to do with. It's the way it came out. And it might have been further clarified had the ordinance been attached to that meeting, the first meeting. But it's my understanding, and I got from our council that they didn't have time to put that ordinance together at that time. So it's now with the meeting. So.
Councilmember Hutchings.
I'm not in favor of this ordinance to have an enactment of ordinances ordinance. I feel like it puts an undue burden on council, whereas I think a better option would be to include this in the job description of the individual who's responsible for doing that. And the way I understand this, way this came about in the beginning was maybe some information was not passed on from the previous person holding that position to the new person, and that's where the ball was dropped. I think if we put it in as a part of the job description, then that would solve the problem. I don't know what's the recourse if we don't do this, if we don't pass this requirement as a council. what happens? I don't understand what the consequences would be of that. So to me, it would be a better enforceable measure, I think, to put it into the job description of the individual responsible.
Council? I agree with Councilmember Hutchings. I don't believe that this needs to be anything more than a policy decision. And I believe that we don't need to try and codify every single job responsibility that exists out there for staff or members of council. I think we're getting too deep into the weeds, so I'm opposed to this. So, Councilmember Roche.
I have a question. I think it would be for the city attorney. What we were just handed in the printed paper, did you get a copy of this?
I drafted it.
Okay. This appears to be, is this what was already written in Division 3 of Article 2, Chapter 2 of the City of Simpsonville's Code of Ordinances as far as A through F, and then we are just adding G?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're not actually putting in a whole new ordinance because that's what's being discussed here is adding an ordinance when actually we're just adding another step, which is codifying.
Yeah, we're amending that particular division to add subsection G.
Okay, so as I read it, it's just one more step. It's the final step, and I rather like it there. I mean, the one right of it walks us through. I wish the public could see what we see up here. It describes what an ordinance is. No ordinance shall be adopted. Emergency ordinances, the introduction of reading. E is after the introduction of the ordinance, any member of the council may request a public hearing. And then F is upon final adoption by a vote of the council, an ordinance shall be signed by the mayor or presiding member and attested by the clerk, who shall file the original in the council minutes. And see, that's where the drop-off has been. I know I've been on here almost, this is my 8th year. And I've gone back to look, and I don't see things in the ordinances that I know we passed. And I've also noticed changes in the ordinance with a prior planning department that council never laid eyes on. And we were told they were cleaning up the ordinances, just making them, I guess, more readable or something. But to me, it felt like there were changes there. And so this is important. And there does need to be a solid law, solid ordinance where this is concerned. So really, Councilmember Pinkerton's endeavor, which is G, upon final adoption by the City Council, ordinances shall be submitted to the City of Simpsonville's codifying agency for codification within 10 business days, excluding holidays. That kind of just like wraps it up. Like, we want that extra step to make sure it goes to the codifying agency, that it doesn't just get signed up here and left on somebody's desk for a year or forever. We actually want that codification. So I'm in favor of this.
Council? All right, I'll call for the vote. On the motion to approve on first reading of Ordinance O-2025-07, Enactment of Ordinances, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no.
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 Councilmember O'Rear,
Yes.
Councilmember Rupe,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
No.
Councilmember Roche,
Yes.
Councilmember Pinkerton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings,
No.
Mayor Shewmaker.
No. By my count, that's 4-3 in favor. So that motion carries by a vote of 4-3. At this time, I want to point out that this is the last meeting that we will have the presence of our outgoing city administrator, Dianna Gracely. So I am asking if there are any members of council that would like to rise to a point of personal privilege. Yes, if you would like to say something, Councilmember O'Rear.
I'm not a rear, but I can talk. Yeah, I remember even when I was early running for office, Dianna was somebody that I relied on and asked questions. And I always felt like she gave me good advice. And even sitting here in my fourth year, I still frequently, I feel like I talk to Dianna as much as I talk to my wife. She might tell you the same, but I'm not sure if anyone understands how cities run, not necessarily the politics, even though she does, but in trusting somebody else over Dianna as far as city questions and how cities work and municipalities work. Texting her real quick, hey, where does this money go? Does the city pay for this? Does the county? I don't think she's ever not answered me. I don't think she's ever said, let me look that up. So I appreciate her knowledge, what she's brought to this city. I was not on council before she came on, but I know that the city wasn't in the greatest financial shape, and to see where we are today is a huge acknowledgement for what she has done here. And then her follow-up is second to none. If you ask her a question, you call her, she calls you back. If you text her, she texts you back. You don't wait even 24 hours. She gets with you. There was an emergency on Saturday. I called her on. I felt guilty as the phone was ringing because I knew she was going to get it. And I was disrupting her Saturday, but it was something that needed addressed. And within an hour, what I called her about was already addressed by city staff, which I need to give a shout out to those as well. So nothing but wish you the best. T's got some big shoes to fill. We'll try not to hold you to that standard, but we wish you the best. We appreciate everything you've done for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rupe. Councilmember Roche.
I wasn't going to say anything because I know I'll cry. To say that I'm going to miss our city administrator is, yeah. I've told people if I never made another right decision the entire time I've been on council, my decision to hire Administrator Grace Lee 8 years ago, that would have been the only decision I needed to make and do right, because she came with the same vision that we had. She took our guidance and she ran with it. And she made our jobs as council easy. She made us look good because she came fully prepared with all of the context that you could ever need and all of the preparation that she had done in other city functions, representing other cities and inside city functions, state functions. She came fully prepared. I don't know if you guys remember what Simpsonville looked like 8 years ago. I really wish I had a whole bunch of snapshots and I could do before and afters. But if you just look at the blight that we used to have around our downtown, it's gone now. If you just look at our parks, the Arts Center, that was a vision at the time. It was dilapidated. It looks the way it does now because she took our vision and ran with it, and she knew how to get that done. And that's what we needed. We needed somebody to come alongside and get the things done that we didn't know how to do. We only had vision. She did it with a balanced budget every single year, not a single tax increase. She brought, $26 million, $24 million in grants and awards to the city to get so much of what you see now done. No millage increase. You heard that tonight. I mean, I just can't say enough about how much she has meant to the city and what you see as far as the rebirth, the lack of blight, the beautiful parks, the beautiful programs that we have in place now, using all of these facilities. That is all to her credit. And T, you do have big shoes to fill. But I feel confident that we made a good choice in bringing Mr. Coker in to fill those shoes, and we're going to keep pressing on. But yeah, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Council? Councilmember Hutchings.
I've known Ms. Gracely ever since I've been on council. I interviewed with her when she was at Travelers Rest, and the Travelers Rest folks had a gym, and we found that out and decided that we needed her in Simpsonville, and we convinced her to move. The council that I was serving on at the time, we had a lot on our agenda, and we needed someone to help us implement that, and Dianna certainly was the right choice for that. The one caveat with this was after we had decided to hire Ms. Gracely, we had a joint meeting with other councils in the upstate, including Travelers Rest, and they set me beside the mayor of Travelers Rest for that dinner. So I got quite a bit of blowback from Travelers Rest because they didn't want to lose a good person. But we've had a great run. If you just look around, you can see all of the results from the time that we've had the pleasure of Ms. Gracely's presence. And she did all this without impacting our property taxes. All the grant money would just seem to flow into her hands when we needed something done. I know there's a lot of hard work behind that, but we got a lot done, and we're getting close to finishing everything that I had on my agenda. We've got a couple of things still to go, but I think that we've accomplished quite a bit in the past 8 years that Ms. Gracely has been here with us, and I'm just so grateful that she has been here with us, and going to miss my seatmate.
Miss you too.
Councilmember O'Rear.
I'm one of the newer folks, so I hadn't been around Dianna as much, and I know we butted heads a couple of times, but I really appreciated your professionalism with me. And like Aaron said, Councilmember Rupe, you answer calls or texts, whatever. I really appreciate that. But I'm also I like to give credit where it's due, and I can't tell you how many times I've been at a function somewhere, whether it be a government or political or anything, and they're like, "Hey, you're from? Oh, Simpsonville. Your name's the first," and it's always in a good light. So I always like to let people know when people say nice things about them. So you're very well thought of. I would like to wish you a happy retirement, but I'm kind of jealous because I want to retire too. But I do wish you a happy retirement.
Thank you.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
Yeah, I haven't been on council but a couple of years now. That's long as my two old fellows next to me. I will say, in the very beginning of my tenure last year, an issue came up within really days that put me back a little bit, and ended up talking to Administrator Gracely about it, and everything got worked out just fine. It was a little concerning, but there's a lot to learn being on council, and I really appreciate all your help in all the questions I've had and answering everything that I needed to know. I thought it was concerning when you decided to retire because we had so much out there to do. Hopefully we made the right decision, and T, I'm sure we have, to fulfill all those requirements, but I wish you well on your retirement.
Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
I'm new here too. I've only known you for about a year and a half, but I want to say thank you for always being helpful, always being kind. Again, like everybody else said, you're always answering our questions, and just always allowing us to come and talk to you, and I've really enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
We have two council members emeritus who have joined us this evening, and if there are no objections, I'm going to extend the privilege to them to come and speak. Because they were on council when Administrator Grace Lee was hired, and the first person I'm going to call on is probably one of the most responsible for recruiting Dianna Grace Lee to the city of Simpsonville. Matthew Gooch. Credit you.
I'll say that then. I walked in here tonight. It's the first time I've really been in this building for a meeting. My palms got sweaty. I felt sick. Saw Mr. Davis over here, and I realized I'm not sick. I'm just back in a council meeting. So my PTSD is not quite over from my tenure on council. I'm a fiercely competitive human being. I will compete with you over anything, and glad to do it. So one of my all-time favorite things to say is we pulled a coup, and we took something from our sister city, and they didn't know they were competing, and that's their problem. They should have known better, and they should have taken better care of you, but they didn't. And I'm glad you came here. I met Ms. Grace Lee at a convention at MASC in Columbia about 9 years ago. She gave a speech. It was a good speech. But I could tell there was just something in what she was saying that she was looking for something else. And I struck up a conversation with her, like, hey, you're bored. Might have something for you. And Simpsonville at that time was highly contentious. Some of you may remember that. Some of you may not. And it was not a good place to be. It wasn't a good place to work. It wasn't a good place to live. There was a lot of drama, just a lot of drama. And she looked at me like I had three heads and said, I don't know about that. But we kept talking. And she finally agreed to at least have a serious conversation about it. And she had done tremendous work in Travelers Rest, which you can drive through there today and still see the consequences of her work there and that council, and they did a beautiful job. But I drive through there, and I'm a little bit prideful because we got her. And I'm proud of that, and I'm happy about that. And they've all said good things about you. We all know good things about you. But I just want to say thank you for giving us a shot. Thank you for giving us a chance. And thank you for not running when I asked you if you were interested in maybe doing something a little different and taking on a different kind of challenge, because we had challenges. And, we could talk about our budget, or we could talk about our deficits. The fact is, you did a lot of great work. You took our ideas, our visions, sometimes our stupidity and our recklessness, and you steered us in a direction that brought us here. And we're not done yet. The city's still growing, and your legacy will continue. And I think the words have been said, big shoes to fill. T, I hope you look good in heels, buddy, because you do have big shoes to fill. And I'm sure you're very capable. I don't know you. I've heard of you, and I've heard good things about you from the county. And you've been set up well here. And I look forward to seeing what you can do with what has been built and the infrastructure you've been given. And I think you're going to do a great job. And I'm looking forward to see what you do next. I know you're not going into full retirement. And I hope that what you're doing next is spectacular for you. You've earned it. And you can get away from the insanity of public life, I hope, and go from there. But thank you. I just want to say thank you for what you've done for me, for the city, and for its citizens. And I'm really pleased with the work we've all done. And thank you for bringing our vision to life and, creating this out of nothing, really. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gooch. Now call on Jennifer Hulehan.
When Eddie Case was here and then left us rather suddenly and unexpectedly, we didn't really know what we were going to do with the city. And Matthew called me one day and said, what about Dianna Grace Lee from Travelers Rest? And I said, why on earth would Dianna Grace Lee from Travelers Rest want to come to Simpsonville? And because, as he mentioned, it was not a great place to be in public life at that time. So I will echo the thank you for giving us the shot, for letting us talk you into joining us here. Mr. Gooch also talked at the very beginning of this meeting during citizen comments about council's responsibility to focus on the big things, not the nitty-gritty detail things, about not getting into the weeds. And we had a lot of problems with that when we first joined council. And focusing on those big things, focusing on the vision is the goal of council. That's what council does. It sets the policy. But what council needs is a city administrator who can make those things a reality. As Ms. Roche pointed out, that's what Dianna did for us. She took the vision and made it a reality. We could have the big ideas because she could do the work in the weeds to make them get done. It's really an honor for me to be able to come back tonight and to speak to you as a former council member and as someone who's had the privilege of working directly with Dianna. She has served this city with remarkable dedication, with professionalism, and with a steady hand. Her impact is visible not just in the projects we all see. Ms. Roche enumerated plenty of them. You can walk outside, sit right here and see them. All of those projects. It's not just that, and it's not even just in the policies that she helped advance while she was here, but it's the way that the city has grown because of her and her service. It has grown stronger, it has become more transparent, and it has become better prepared for the future. As a council member, I was able to see firsthand how much she cared about getting it right and doing the right thing, how she was able to balance the needs of the community. And you still hear her talking about that tonight in the meeting. This is what the citizens want. But you can't always just give people what you want. That's the easy thing, right? Yes, you want it. Yes, I give it to you. No, you have to balance what the community needs, what the community wants, with good governance. And that is not easy. That is something that Dianna knows and knows well, and that she brought with her to Simpsonville. I think we all learned a lot about good governance from Dianna. I know I did, and I appreciate that. I'm taking that into my next steps. She didn't chase credit. Y'all named a park after her, but she didn't ask for that. She wasn't looking for the glory or the fame. She focused instead on the outcomes, on what's best for the city of Simpsonville. And because of that, she is leaving behind a legacy of thoughtful progress and quiet strength. In local government, as many of you know, the work is often complex, it's nuanced, it's not easy, it's not black and white. And it is often also thankless. But Dianna showed up every single day, day after day, even when it was hard, even in some of the very hardest years of her own personal life, much less her professional life. And she showed up with clarity, consistency, and a deep knowledge of what it takes to move a city forward. That is unique, and we are so fortunate to have had that. So on behalf of everyone I know, and many I don't, who don't know the work that you have done behind the scenes for this city to make it the place that it is today, thank you. You've made a lasting difference, and I'm not sure you know how much you will be missed. I'm not sure the city knows how much it will miss having you. I wish you great joy in retirement, much rest, and a really good time. Thank you.
Thank you so
Ms. Hulehan. So it is the privilege of the mayor to speak last, and I can add very little to the things that have already been said. A person with the depth of knowledge, the incredible long list of people you know who will bend over backwards to help you. The things that you've done. I was elected 5.5 years ago, and a council that's getting a new mayor can have concerns about getting a new mayor. And I sat down with each of them and assured them that they were doing good things, and I believed in that and wanted to keep that going. How a city grows and gets better is by putting one brick at a time on top of another brick, and you look back years later and go, I didn't imagine this, but isn't it wonderful? She got the money to buy the bricks. She bought the bricks, and she's been the brick mason that's made this happen. There's one other aspect of Dianna Gracely besides the knowledge, the integrity, the ability, the energy. She collects friends like you get sand on your feet at the beach. and it is my great privilege to call Dianna Gracely my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have one more thing to do. In honor of your service to the city, we have something for you. If you would come here. This is a piece of art by Bill Barrick. He is a local artist, and he's done this watercolor. We presented outgoing council members with his work a couple of years ago, and I think everybody was enamored with it. So our gift to you, Dianna, is this piece of art from Bill Barrick.
That is beautiful.
Thank you so much for your service. If there are no objections, we will stand adjourned.